Thanks for joining us on Money FM 89.3. I'm Audrey Seek. Now, on today's Mind Your Business, we're talking about navigating the global supply chain, which is under quite a lot of pressure these days. We've got semiconductor shortages, shifting trade policies, climate disasters, cybersecurity risks. And for companies in Asia Pacific, it's not just about staying efficient, it's about survival. Now, APAC is the world's manufacturing powerhouse, producing nearly half of global goods. So the big question is, how can businesses future-proof their supply chains against all of these disruptions? Our next guest believes Industry 5.0 could be the answer. It's all about blending human expertise with AI-driven logistics and sustainable manufacturing to build resilient and agile supply chains. So to unpack all of this, we're happy to welcome Dennis Mark to the show. He's the CEO of the Singapore Manufacturing Federation. Dennis, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Audrey. Good morning, and good morning to Money FM listeners.
Great to have you on. So let's start with what we've been dealing with these days. You know, we've seen supply chains evolve dramatically in the past few years. Lots going on. There's the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, and now tariff policies from Trump 2.0 also expected to shake things up even more. So what are the biggest trends disrupting supply chains this year?
Well, some of the big trends are around the global tension and the supply chain unpredictability. But I must say we are in the better part of the world. We are fortunate to be in Asia, and Asia is playing a larger and larger role in the global economy. So that is undeniable. And in fact, Asia is now the major manufacturing hub, as you mentioned earlier. It is a key driver for global trade. And more importantly, now Asia is the center of innovation. So it's getting a good balance, especially where Southeast Asia and Singapore is a good balance between the West and East, and maybe over time it's more East and West technology balancing together. So I expect Asia to play a significant role to drive and enable the world manufacturing requirement going forward.
Yeah, so APAC, definitely a crucial hub for global supply chains. I know that we're in a pretty good position, but how do you see Trump's trade policies kind of affecting us as well?
Well, that is definitely anybody's guess, right? There's $1 million questions. And hence the key thought process these days is to enable the supply chain that's adaptable to different situations, different dynamics, and also to make sure that we are taking the technological advancement to our advantage and plan for the near term and at the same time the future. So I must say the businesses are managing the complexity and unpredictability with more a multi-pronged approach, right? Diversity is key, right? It's paramount now. And diversity is not about alternative sourcing location, but importantly, given the advantage of Asia, is to build regional hubs to reduce the reliance on single point of failure. So obviously, the other challenge ahead of us will be this globalization uncertainty. So much more resilient and adaptable supply chain would come into play to mitigate some of this logistical or politically influenced situation.
Yeah.
Climate change, I must say, is no longer a distant threat. It's actually hitting us right front and center. So hence, among these changes, adapting sustainable manufacturing practices and also ensure that we are ahead in terms of the emission reduction targets will be critical for us to consider.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because businesses are not just dealing with trade tensions, we're also tackling climate change, and more companies are turning to flexible and sustainable supply chains to stay ahead of this. How are APAC manufacturers adapting to these challenges? Do you have any examples of Industry 5.0 in action on this front?
Oh, absolutely. So the Industry 5.0 is emphasizing on human aspect, right? It's fundamentally reimagining how human and machines working together. The key word here will be collaboration. And hence, we believe Industry 5.0 will empower workers with more intelligent tools and data so that they can drive insights for their decision making, optimizing the processes and also drive innovation. And all this will be key components in ensuring a more sustainable and more predictable supply chain output. And the use of AI could help us to assess the risk involved. If we take into the supply chain example, AI data analytics can help us to predict some of these unpredictable situation, right? A bit contradicting there. But a lot of situation, the big data could help us to analyze and look at different options so that we can future-proof our decision and make sure that our decision is right given the data and bigger sets of data to help us to be more accurate in how we're projecting forward.
So let's just take a step back for our listeners who may not be too familiar. Industry 5.0, we're talking human-machine collaboration, AI-driven logistics, and sustainability becoming the new norm. So it's not just another buzzword. Are you able to break down very quickly the core pillars of Industry 5.0 and how it's transforming manufacturing?
Yeah, absolutely. So for Industry 5.0, it is about automation. Industry 4.0, where the emphasis has been on, but the equation is to add on with sustainability requirement and also the human-centric technology. So these are the three key components of Industry 5.0. And hence, for us, the operator, the user, are moving away from the repetitive manual stuff. There are tasks that is on hand, but move towards roles that require more data literacy, critical thinking, problem solving, and more adaptability, so that the workers no longer just part of the machinery, but they are more like conductors of a orchestra, leveraging AI and other advanced technology to orchestrate and manage complex production processes. So to some extent, it's a lot of upscaling, right? It's a lot of concerted effort that we needed to reskill our workers so that they actually can move up the chain to manage. Maybe a more visual example here is like the use of visual inspection, right? Today, with new technology, a better camera, and better AI data management, we could use visual inspection with powerful cameras and AI, and hence it can go faster, much faster, and much more accurate and much more into the various layers of details. And this would be able to help workers to detect defects in a much faster speed. So the workers no longer just depend on their naked eyes to look at the products and the features and all, but they can use the vision camera to help them. And hence, one experienced worker can actually manage few lines of inspection going on at the same time, and they will manage only the exception cases, and hence that will drastically increase the speed and the productivity.
Yeah, that was a great explanation to Industry 5.0, and AI is definitely shaking up industries everywhere, including supply chains. Some say it boosts efficiency and resilience, like to your point, but others also worry about cost and reliability. So are you able to compare the pros and cons of AI in supply chains?
Definitely. I think we are in, to some extent, the early stages of leveraging AI. So in the manufacturing world, we also talk about the narrow AI, where it's very task-based, leveraging the data in-house to manage and orchestrate some of this efficiency improvement and all, and it's very task-based. So this typically are more cost-effective to implement because they are very focused on certain area. But there are also some larger tasks, for example, the supply chain projections and managing a large component, let's say, for example, a notebook production will, or EV, electronic vehicle these days, will involve hundreds and thousands of components, and how to predict and plan your supply chain for your manufacturing processes so that all the components come just in time and all. So that requires huge amount of data, huge amount of connectivity to the supply chain and all. So I would say the implementation of AI is a wide spectrum. It can be very targeted, very task-oriented, narrow AI, or it can be a very wide with multiple data. So this data could be both in-house and external. So those will be complex. Those will require some proof of concept planning and testing. So the good news is the Singapore government has put in place some of the schemes to really help companies to adopt across. My advice would be to take the very first step. Firstly, to have a mindset change that AI is doable. Right, and also we can progressively adopt some of the technology, and some of the AI are being taught in school. Some easier feature or more task-oriented AI tools has been made available with our progression in technology. And of course, as we improve, then every step will make us better for the future.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And, with so much uncertainty, businesses are looking for practical ways to strengthen their supply chains and stay competitive. Do you have any other key advice or pointers for businesses, navigating today's supply chain landscape?
Well, I once again want to highlight that Asia Pacific, we are in a good place. And in fact, as the trend is going towards, we see ourselves to be the center of advanced manufacturing, shaping the future of global trade and investment. But it does come with significant challenges. Firstly, as we mentioned earlier, the progression of Industry 5.0 need to be managed, and the benefit needs to be distributed equitably among the different members of the society. So we need to proactively reskill our workers' population and also plan with the future in mind so that we could teach them, reskill them with the skill of the future in mind, right, so that they can be ahead of the curve. And lastly, I would say the regional collaboration is critical. So we need to take advantage beyond Singapore, right? Obviously, I must say in Singapore's term, we are putting a lot of effort together with the different agencies to upskill and upcycle our workers' capability. I think that is critical for us to be future-proof. But the other key component here, because we are in Asia, I think the regional collaboration is a very important factor for businesses to look into. We should take advantage of some of the neighboring countries' sources, look at how we could leverage technology and our neighboring capabilities and resources together, and the equation even more attractive for more MNC to invest in Singapore and to make our local ecosystem even more competitive. And I believe that will allow us to be ahead of the very volatile situation and make us even better in the global trade and become both a responsible and at the same time sustainable manufacturing leader.
Collaborate with your neighbors, reskill, upskill, and plan for the future. We've covered everything from global supply chain disruptions to Industry 5.0, AI, and sustainability, all of which are shaping the future of manufacturing in APAC. Dennis, thanks so much for your time and insights this morning. Really appreciate you joining us.
Pleasure's mine, and ray of sunshine is coming in, so the future is brighter for us.
Yes, I hope so.
Have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you. You too. That was Dennis Mark, CEO of Singapore Manufacturing Federation. Stay right here on Money FM 89.3.